It's so funny. It looks like a electric shaver.
What's funny is that it's funny to you every time.
It's true. That's true. I am the most boring. I don't think I have anything interesting to say.
I don't know. You are fresh off an appearance on the Super Bowl roster of ads, which was pretty cool.
It was pretty exciting. Man, I don't want to say it was very exciting because I never had anything where people like had that many tweets about it. So everybody's watching.
Everyone's watching.
Yeah.
And you're like front and center.
It's so weird.
So and it looks like you. It's like you with your actual glasses and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm not dressed up.
So it's just like anyone who knows you isn't going, was that Andy? So it was very cool.
Oh, thank you. That was.
Did you know it was a Super Bowl spot for sure, or did you know it was just the web for sure during?
I thought it was just the web for sure.
Yeah.
So we actually had to make a couple of calls.
I would
tomorrow.
think, yeah.
It was weird because they kept saying it could be after, but nobody was really saying in a way. So
right.
I don't know.
Well, I'm sure what it was if we don't sell out our inventory because it's a Fox product.
Right.
Then we'll put this in there.
Well, also, it was supposed to be for Chris Parnell originally.
Oh, really?
And then he couldn't do it.
Oh.
So.
I bet they wish he didn't say that.
Why are they listening to the podcast now?
I guess not. Probably. Maybe they cast you.
That means they're really scouring.
No, it was great. You were perfect for it, and you did great.
So now, of course, I'm worried.
And I was at a party, and everyone knew you, so it was an instant cheer.
I really thought it was going to be like on some private thing as soon as the game ended on some cable. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
So I'm going to get a lot of money. No, who knows what I'll get. And I thought the check was pretty good. I
remember we talked about it briefly.
Well, I also said
you got a last minute thing as a doctor.
Right, but I even talked to you about it when I sent you a thing that was meant for Susan when I was sending you texts those few days where they were all made. Right. I'm depositing the big check now. And then I'm going to go, and this lady said I could sleep in her paper cup next to her back door.
Be safe, little man.
Be safe, little man. It was so good because you had to, after the fourth missed text, go, what is wrong with this guy? Why does that happen that you send? Why is it you go back and you think you're sending it to someone?
Why does this man keep infantilizing himself?
I'm going to go. After the mail, honey, I'm going to go walk and see that lot that I told you was pretty.
But I'm staying on the sidewalk.
I'm by the Kabbalah store.
It's very light out.
Well, I've been walking around. I haven't had the car since Susan, my wife, is gone for the week, and that's a whole story that I can't go into because of the negotiations.
Right.
So
I have stories that I can only partially go into this week, too. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But when you're thinking, I wonder what they're talking about, just remember it's probably tragedy.
Right.
So she went down there, and I haven't been without my wife except on the road for a long time. And
so great.
That's what I thought. Here's what I thought. It would be the greatest thing in the world.
No, it's good for 2 nights.
It's good for 2 nights.
Yeah.
And
you get to like do the spread eagle sleeping.
And also it's like, what is it that I want to eat that I can't eat?
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with gluten. Yeah. So the first night I went to In-N-Out Burger and I was like, yes, they can't stop me.
Right.
Not only can they not stop me, I don't have to ask Susan what she wants to when I go home. It was like total freedom.
Right.
And then, and I ate sushi twice. I got sick though. I did vomit this week.
Okay.
I got sick.
Yeah.
Because, the sushi's not great in this area. I don't know why you told me it was the greatest area.
I said come to Sushi Town.
It's really not that great at all.
It's little Japan. There's only a couple places.
And they're not that great.
There's a lot of places, but there's only a couple good ones.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I didn't find them.
No. I still stand by Teru Sushi, actually.
Right, but that was I was going to walk. I had to walk.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't walk there.
Walking distance were not good.
No, not walking distance.
That second floor place isn't too bad.
That was the best of the places I went to.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're doing Seinfeld. That place with the thing.
But I pushed it by going to another place on that I shouldn't have gone to with all kinds of things.
Oh, jeez. We do sushi as a hobby.
Well, the thing about sushi is that it really is,
just a hobby.
It's just that it's just a hobby. I love sushi. It's like, I would say it's my favorite food if I had to pick one food. I think I've said that before, but it really is not something that everybody does well. It's just unbelievable to me. Not unbelievable. In Japan, I'm sure it's better.
It is, but I mean, there's excellent sushi to be had in Los Angeles, but
right.
I think the prevalence of supermarket sushi, has sort of lowered the bar for.
You like your Whole Foods, California
so it just
roll
becomes like a burger to people. It just it fills a void, but.
And I would if I wasn't like we used to go to Nozawa because we were
and
close.
People like the whole. There's a niche of people who like sushi as value eating.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Like all you can eat and conveyor belt sushi and stuff.
And that always makes me nervous.
Yeah, me too.
That even that place that you said was good, they advertise
that
all
was
you can eat.
Yeah, we were both very wary when we went in there because of their banner. But it was decent.
It was. That one I liked. Yeah. So maybe I would go back there. But the thing is that I started to binge things. I was starting to binge eating late at night, and I do think when everyone in your family's dying. No, but I mean when the tragedy meter starts to tick up.
Right.
And so I think I have just nerves in general.
Yeah, I mean I think there's a sort of, you want to actively be good to yourself.
Yes.
Quote unquote.
Right.
In those situations sometimes.
Yes.
So you go, I'm going to eat this, fill in the blank.
And I just felt so sick.
And it's folly.
Well, I'm beginning to really see through. I have an addictive person. There's no question that I have an addictive personality. So, like, for example, the fact.
I know. I ended this podcast 4 months ago. See, you're addicted to coming back, is my point.
Is that a good reaction to humor? I look off into
stunned, deer in headlight silence.
So, in other words, like when I say to you, I never would have tried heroin. I really mean, I think that I could see an Andy Kindler thing where.
That's why I never did coke for the same reason. I was like a 300-pound smoker going, do something else addictive.
Well, that was a good. I mean, I did the coke. I made the mistake of doing the coke, and even now, every once in a while. It's offered to me, and I don't do it, but I feel like...
Really? People still offer you coke?
Just every once in a while.
Wow.
I'm always shocked by it.
It's been a long time since that's been even crossed my path
comedy,
that I noticed.
When I was in another city, I won't mention the name, I noticed some of the comics were doing it. I was very surprised.
I know it had a big resurgence because my buddy was working in Vegas, and that like all the bartenders had it. And
you mean during the first time or during the recent?
No, like within the past 10 years.
And the price is supposed to be better, and they're supposed to be good, but it's not good.
It's not good.
But the thing is that I don't think I'm like an alcoholic, but I do have that thing where I need to take care of myself.
Some is good, more is better. Mentality.
Yes, I definitely do because, like sometimes I'll go, why am I feeling weird? Oh, I don't know, Andy. You've had 45 different edibles in the last 3 hours, and I speak to my therapist about this because I worry about myself.
Right.
Like I'm going to be an addict, but she says, look, just don't. You have to take everything to the ultimate conclusion. Just go. I went too far, and I don't have to go that far.
Right.
But when you're alone with yourself, and when you're in love with your wife. I mean, that's the thing. I'm in love with my wife, so I'm not. When she leaves, I wasn't going, yeah, baby.
No, I'm never excited my wife is leaving, but there's a couple days of like, all right, my schedule,
my time,
my space, my,
I had that.
I can roll all the way. I can do a full barrel roll in bed, whatever, but that's just personal space. I kind of get that the first night of being on the road sometimes too.
Yes. Well, yeah. In fact, the road's easier.
But the fact is I love my wife too. And, I've stated my preference to have my life be with her. So,
right. Yeah. So we can't do the bits. We're not like the man show.
No.
This fucking woman with the fucking bullshit.
No, and I would do even less wife material if my wife didn't actually love it so fucking much when I do any of it. So.
I watched the first part of that of the Gary Shandling 2-part thing because I was alone.
Judd's thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I mean, boy. I mean, I happen to know people who did work for him that I won't mention because it's not nice.
Right.
But I know that it wasn't just with Alan Zweibel that Shandling would get very upset when anybody would do anything else.
He was a slave driver.
Because he had a lot of stand-up comics who wrote for him, and he was never happy if he found out they were doing sets and stuff.
Well, that's like a Mitzi thing, too.
Yes, right. Because
like Mitzi hated any comic who was a writer.
That's what he went through. And I think you probably know that, right? That's
I do,
exactly
I was talking to Meryl Marco about it the other day, too.
Yeah, she just decided you couldn't do both.
Yeah.
And she looked at you differently, too, which is weird because it assumes that everybody who's a stand-up, just fell out of the crib of stand-up. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's she wanted to make it a tribe.
Right.
That she was the head of.
And so...
And I think Bud always had more... Bud always felt more part of the showbiz flow. The improv always felt like more part of the TV.
Yeah.
They
both have egos, but he didn't. I don't know. There's no way to compare the clubs. They both had problems.
Oh, they were both giant egos. Yeah.
Yeah. But but he didn't.
And they were both, indifferent to nice to me. It was like somewhere in that range.
Yeah, they were.
I don't have any beef with either, and they both gave me. I got to go in front of both of them.
Right.
And got warm. Tepid to warm response, enough that, I could come back, but not like, I want you to come back. It was, you can come back.
Well, I think I told you the comedy story that at one point they said to me, do you want to work the door? And it was like, I've done horrible things, but there's certain things I'm like, that's not.
No, that's not the path. That's
and I think you're almost signing on to a dysfunctional thing that's going to hurt you, right? It's like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Regardless of the door work.
Oh my God. That would have been the worst place in the world for you to hang at any time in your life.
Well, that's the thing. When I'm looking back at all these,
such a dark place.
Such a dark place.
And people say now. I mean, I haven't been there in years, but people, even though it's hopping now again, people say it still is this dark. It still has that.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because everyone says it is way different now.
Yeah.
I mean, the lineups are different,
right?
But it does have a haunting quality. The room
does, yeah.
I never liked it for the simple reason that I was always broke. So when I first went there, when I first came out to L.A., and even when I did spots later on, you had to park a million miles away. So I never parked in garages when I was doing stand-up, So I always thought the Comedy Store is hard to get to,
right?
Literally.
Right.
Because the Improv isn't like that. The Laugh Factory is like that. That part of Sunset Strip that's like... The classic Sunset Strip is an annoying area to park or.
And there was an Uber back then. Now that's the answer.
No, I know. How could I have gone the last few days without my wife without Uber or Lyft? It would have been hard.
What are you belching up right now? What did you eat during the game?
I ate. I've been eating weird because I got a chicken breast and a couple things from Whole Foods, and halfway through eating everything, I start to get sick. So that's why I think I am getting stressed out by all the things that are going on.
Right.
And I have to keep remembering that. Because if I don't remember it, I'll continue eating. That's the thing, too.
Right.
I think I have a weird thing with food, and my whole family does, but most families do.
Right.
We weren't correctly... It wasn't normal food around our house. It was always like, you better get it before it's gone, and...
Yeah.
And if you have any requests, they're probably not going to get fulfilled. Could you order, say, Mom, get me everything, and they would get it? Probably.
I could get most things, or I would go with her to make sure I got them.
But you see, my mom, who had all of these different problems, God bless her, but she was always kind of upset. So when you would go out with her, I didn't realize this till therapy. When you go out with her, you'd be like, okay, what's wrong and why? She's already upset.
Yeah. The time, like my mom and I, it was clothes shopping. That was the apex of all stress between my mother and I.
Unbelievable. Same thing with my family. Why?
For me, it was mostly because of my weight. Because it was hard to find clothes for me that were both cool and fit.
Yeah.
And so there would just be this stress, and it would be this double, we'd work off each other because my mom would be feeling guilty that I was fat, and I was just feeling like, this is horrible, I want to get out of here, and it would just, and I still, for years, I would go into department stores like as an adult, and just like immediately start like flop sweating.
Wow, because it was so...
Until I stopped and examined, what the fuck is happening to your nervous system? And it's like, then I started like going, oh, it's because that was the most stressful thing as a kid. That was because fat was the most, that was the central issue.
Theme of your life in terms of like people looking at you.
It involved, it was such an issue for my mom.
And what was an issue for your mom?
It was an issue for my mom because she was raised with a hugely disapproving father.
Oh.
And she was slightly overweight. Like, slightly overweight.
Right.
But she saw herself as obese,
Right, because,
And so food and all of that was just a central issue for her. And so a lot of that got dumped off on me. And both my brother and I were overweight kids because, food was joy in our house.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So then there was just this constant thing of my mom believing that if I lose weight, everything's going to be magically perfect in my life,
So did she make you feel bad?
Sometimes believing that and sometimes going, this is bullshit. And, and she would offer like rewards if I lost, And it wasn't trying to bully me. It was just trying to encourage me. She was like, what can I do to make it worth it to you to do it, kind of,
Right.
Not so much, you'll get this if you lose weight. It was never that.
Right. She wasn't.
It was always, she wanted my life to be better.
Right. Right.
But
you must have just
at some point,
low.
I separated from that thinking,
When?
Probably slightly before I started doing stand-up, maybe 9th or 10th grade. But I think stand-up was the thing when I was 15. That gave me an identity to myself. I could be a comic. Then,
right.
So then at that point, I was fine.
Did they make fun of you in school?
Not really, because I was funny and could embarrass them back.
Right.
So I wasn't a target ever, and I was kind of I was confident. So I would be in plays and do things that were in front of people. So.
And confident after 15? Or?
No, my whole life I was.
Oh, okay.
I was never shy because I was fat.
Except in the clothing store.
I was shy with girls because I was fat, but I was never shy, and I wasn't shy at the department store. I was just like, nothing fits. Fuck this. I want to go home,
right.
And my mom's going, how about this? How about this? And then tugging on me, and it just made me nuts. And, so I still to this day, like when people handle me in those kind of ways, I get nuts pretty quick.
It's so amazing because I have the same
claustrophobic pretty quick.
I have the same thing, but it's based on my mother just not being, just like you go into the store and it would be like she's upset already about something, and then she's rushing and she's trying to get the attention of the people.
Yeah, my mom had her own stress going on because it would be I wanted to be cool and shit would be expensive, and if there was something that would fit and was the right thing, the right label, she wanted to buy for me. So then she knew she was going to get shit from my dad for spending $50 on a pair of pants, But she wanted me to have all the tools I could to be popular, So, we talked, actually before she died, I sort of, because she was she was sort of indicating that she thought I must have a lot of resentment about her. No, I have to say the one thing I think you handled poorly was the stuff about my weight.
How did she respond to that?
She was, I think, we talked about it. It wasn't adversarial at all. It was, it was a very, it was pretty, we were into the philosophical phase of things at that point,
It's an amazing thing because, especially for women, something I've experienced my whole life that I've known people who've had to deal with this, and it's hard. It's like 1,000 times worse for a woman because that's all they're judged on is their physical appearance. And it hasn't been until I read that book called.
Look at how fucking much Lizzo pisses people off.
They give her shit for being
fat and fine.
It's unbelievable. That's why what she's doing is the greatest. She just said, "I'm doing what I'm doing."
But it's so clear that there is a percentage of the population that gets so angry at heavy women who have self-confidence.
It's so
like they want to punish them for having self-confidence.
Yeah, they also want to apply their own values. It's like, from reading those books about eating, it's like. basically they've figured out that 70% of what you weigh is from genetics. So you can't even, there's only so much you can fight from your basic genetics.
Right.
And then when you take all these things like, my parents, the way they were with my sister without realizing they were that way. And I realized that one of my main problems in life is so much worrying about how I'm perceived. Sure. So that's why I would always be trying to control other people's behavior, whether it's my wife's or my friends. It's like, oh, they can't be that way because it'll reflect on me or something.
Well, I mean, that's what, the interesting thing of having the ultimate narcissist in our face all the time now.
Oh, God.
Is you can kind of like measure like
your own.
Like what is ultimate narcissistic behavior? Like how is he looking at the situation? It's all that. It's all how do I look? How will I appear?
Yeah,
and so the more you can use that as your baseline of like, okay, that's wrong.
Yeah, that's the most wrong.
But ultimately it's cowardly, It is cowardly to worry about how the people around you are reflecting on you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It means that you don't have enough conviction in the people you love to not sell them out.
Yeah, well, it's all about yourself, about how you view yourself. So I never realized that I would spend so much of my time controlling people. I mean, other people probably realize it, but I didn't realize it.
Right.
Because I could also be funny with it, too. I could also be funny and control energy.
Sure.
And then I would keep noticing, boy, you're not responsible for this person or to do anything about anything.
Yeah.
I'm not responsible to do anything about other people just because something's going on that I don't like or something. I don't have to go to these crazy judgments.
Right.
So the crazy judgments are all based on everything recently in therapy has been me and my father because my mother was so obvious. Right. But like with me and my father not wanting to be in the business with his uncle and thinking that ruined his life. And when you think like that way and you got taught by his mom who told him he didn't even want to have a birthday,
Right.
You get taught by this whole system and, it affects your whole life. It affects the way he grew up and affects the way.
Right.
But it's interesting when you see these these arguments become clear, then you realize, oh, there's no way I could be this upset about this thing.
Right.
And I find this all the time still with me. I can't get rid of jealousy or envy. Maybe you can never get rid of it completely, I guess.
Right.
What do you think?
No, I don't think you ever get rid of it, but I think you can talk yourself down from it pretty quick.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of where, I don't know. I mean, that's how I operate is I still feel it, but then I just like, I take, whenever it's a thought that I don't want to have, but I'm having it, I kind of try to take it as far as I can go with it.
That's
healthy. To let it lose its power, kind of. You know, he has this. Well, why does he have this and I don't? Well, because you didn't do shit in order to get that thing. Right. And that person's very ambitious and wants those things very badly, and then it starts to lose its power,
That's healthier than what I do, which is I don't allow, traditionally.
I also go, well, what would happen if you did have that thing? You'd be dreading it for 6 weeks.
That's right. That would not solve all your problems.
It's just that you wanted to be invited, not that you wanted to actually do it,
Yeah, I think it's thinking that the actual having a negative thought, is a bad thing.
Right.
It has ruined my life. Not ruined it, but just
no. That's a toxic.
Repressing won't work.
Thing. Yeah,
it doesn't work.
I've always allowed myself to think the darkest, sometimes funniest things.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm a bad person for that. I just think I have a wide range. That's what it makes me think is, that's there.
Right.
But I have a sense of right and wrong and proper and not proper enough to keep it as part of my internal dialogue or share it with someone who knows, who can accept it for funny.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I watched this documentary about J.D. Salinger, and it was pretty. And
he was a downer.
But the thing is that he wrote this book, which was the first. It really did change my life when I read it. And I was like, because the attitude of Halden is like, these fucking phonies and this and that. And then it's like...
Also, Catcher in the Rye is the one you're going with.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. I read The Catcher in the Rye.
Acting like...
Like the whole oeuvre?
No, just like, like it's a special one that just you discovered.
Right, but here's the thing, is that 3 murderers used his book. And that's the thing that's amazing about it. Mark David Chapman, John Hinckley, and somebody else, I forget. But the point is...
Was John Hinckley? What was John Hinckley?
He also had Catcher in the Rye.
Read it. Did he have it?
No, he
him?
talked about it. Okay. He talked about it in relation to. Maybe I'm confusing him. So if I'm confusing him,
that was the Jodie Foster, John Hinckley.
I knew that, but I also think he also had Catcher in the Rye.
Okay.
Yeah. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Well, but I mean, it's not hard to. It's a pretty straight line to, if you aren't. If you're keying into the anger that Holden Caulfield feels,
right,
and you aren't seeing it as from a third person perspective, it's real easy to go. Oh, this is a way to be. This is,
yeah. I even when I'm reading the book, you're supposed to feel that way when you're reading the book in a way because you're relating to how angry he is,
right?
But so they were just talking about how unusual this was. That also shows how brilliant the book was, that he was able to get into these different areas so effectively, Yeah,
I kind of took it like, it was kind of like punk music to me, that book, where it was like, I don't feel that same anger, I wasn't vibrating with the world in that way at that time I read it, so it didn't.
No, but
it felt like somewhat immature in the book to me.
Yes. Well, I think that's what you're also supposed. I mean, I think that's also at some point you aren't supposed to go through that book.
Right. But that's the thing, is if you're stunted, emotionally stunted, you can tune into that really easily.
Well, apparently I didn't realize this. He was in the Battle of the Bulge.
The kid down the hall gets into Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
What kid down the hall? In general, yeah. But he was in World War II. What did I do? What were you laughing at there?
At what kid down the hall?
But he was in World War II, and he was in the Battle of the Bulge all the way to going through Auschwitz and those things after, like, a lot of soldiers, they happened to discover these things.
Right.
And they didn't know what they were discovering.
Right.
And it really freaked him out. So I just thought it was really interesting that that was kind of why that book was so brilliant. Was Catcher in the Rye really is he wrote them while he was in war, and he would write these chapters. It's just the whole thing was fascinating to me because I know that he manipulated people and had some serious issues,
right?
Too. But I always thought like he'd only written that one book and then that was it. But that wasn't it.
No.
He wrote Franny and Zooey, and he'd written some other stuff about that Glass family. I've only read Catcher in the Rye. So, just as a weird, I can't get enough of those. It was on HBO.
Yeah.
So I can't get enough of those type of things. But the Shandling thing was when you really saw his neediness, it was like he led with his neediness, and I can relate to it. Sure. He was a raw nerve. He was really, like, I might think, how's my show going to be finished if someone's doing sets at night? But I don't think I would ever go resent someone for doing.
No, but I mean, the thing he had that you don't have is
talent.
Well, no, I wasn't going to be mean.
He's a nice person.
No, I wasn't going to be mean.
Taller.
Well, yeah. Well, he had certainty. He had professional certainty in a way that you don't.
Like, how do you mean?
I mean, like he thought he was right. And you don't have that sort of.
I see.
You know what I mean, he thought of himself as a guru too. As much as he was searching, he was also this guru figure to all these people. Well, and clearly liked being that.
Yes, and I wonder, like with someone like Judd, who I think he had an intense relationship with, would it have been the same if he wasn't Judd's mentor? I don't know. If he had things like that.
No, I really don't think so. And I think Judd was an enthusiastic mentee.
Yes,
he was great at doing it. He was great at working his ass off to please these people.
Yeah.
That, like Hodgson and I, that was our first butting of heads. Was that he had this fantasy that he was going to be mentor, but I had like no desire to have a mentor.
That's just such a weird thing.
And so I was a terrible mentee.
Yeah. I feel I've been pretty...
It's interesting watching Kobe stuff too and seeing, it's like, long ago I came to like why I was annoying at 17, like I get it now more than then.
Because you were so sure of yourself, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I see it in Kobe too. You see it when those stories of him coming to the NBA and all these veterans going, okay, kid, cool your jets.
Yeah. He got it on everyone's... Well, I thought that was Michael Jordan too. Got those guys like Larry Bird and those guys. First.
Yeah, but he went through college. I mean, Kobe came straight from high school.
Yeah. Was he the first guy?
No, but
one of the.
He was in the early. Like Kevin Garnett was before him. But yeah, I see it. I see that same dynamic now. Like how fucking irritating. Good or bad. Good or not. Warranted confidence or not.
Yeah.
It's fucking irritating coming from a teenager.
Well, the thing that must have been hard about Gary was that, he didn't see the part where he would, like, I know I have OCD, but he didn't see the part where, okay, Larry, you've come up with a line, go on to the next thing. I mean, there has to be a time to wrap it up. It's not always, he didn't have to be up at 5 a.m, 6 a.m.
No, but I think he had OCD.
Right, but I don't think he was aware. I don't think he was aware of it.
Probably not.
I think he thought I just have to make it perfect. I have to make it perfect.
Yeah, well, I mean, that the word perfectionist is a loaded word,
Yeah,
because you can make it a positive or a negative.
Yes. Yeah.
On some level, perfectionism in quotes is often just insecurity.
Oh yeah, I think even like my wife, who's so her perfectionism is because she can see so many things visually, she can't stop.
Right.
That's why she knows everything about Photoshop, but she doesn't want to be the person. What's it called when you go back into the photo and you.
Airbrush.
Not airbrush, but like whatever
Photoshop.
that process is called. You're editing the photo.
Right.
Yeah, it's like she can do it, but she'll go on for hours unless she's stopped.
Right. Yeah, and I'm kind of, I'm much more of a, that's it, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably helps you. I mean.
Because everything I do is really just an extension of my taste,
Yes. Yeah.
All of those decisions are that. When I'm editing, it's my taste and the timing. Is it, that one frame either way, it's up to my taste.
Right.
And when I'm writing a joke or writing whatever, it's always, that's what it comes down to. And so you either have confidence in that, like Susan has tremendous confidence in her taste.
Yes.
But she doesn't have apparently that full spectrum of confidence to go, I'm done. I'm right.
No. She because she also has a whole bunch of other things about like being a woman in a male dominated art field,
right.
and it's just it's easier to have that kind of confidence when you're a man,
right? And
some women are able to do it, but she never would in any lifetime be a schmoozer,
right.
Who's like.
I was talking to Paula Lindbergh the other day from.
Yeah, of course.
North. No, I'm telling her. I knew you knew.
Oh, yeah. Why would I stop you? I know who she is. Oh, I'm talking for the listeners.
And she was talking about how she liked the show with Jen. And I was saying, with these two next to me, I found myself having self-doubt about my own level of self-doubt.
Yeah, maybe you're not. You should agonize more.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I felt like the review of our show would be his misplaced confidence was out of place among the funny people.
Well, it is like, to me, Larry Sanders is my favorite show in many ways. And the thing that's so interesting to me is the fact that he didn't really want to be the Tonight Show host because it would have been too repetitive for him. And the character that he was developing as a stand-up, it was him, but it really it really wasn't him. So that when it got to Larry Sanders, I can't think of a more perfect marriage of an idea and a show, because he was always funny, but you also had that feeling that there was a little bit of Jay Leno in him, or a little bit of, not Jay Leno, but a little bit of phoniness in the character, or a little, and I think that was what was so incredible about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that makes comics great is that they can both have neuroses and spot them.
Yes.
That they can at least get outside their own behavior enough to identify it, if not change it, And, he was great at that, He could play his real insecurities, but do it with enough objectivity that it was funny.
And I think that his thing was, he got a lot of the idea of what meditation, he got a lot of idea about being an artist was about, because regardless of how he felt internally, he just worked so hard, and I worked very hard too, but I never thought of it as work, because I just did it. The work was going to a club every night. I never was someone who worked during the day on my material that much, but I was thinking about it all the time. So I could really relate to that, to a lot of that stuff, but it just is like a great show is so many different factors coming together. That just
absolutely, and and it takes a focus of the central vision to make it really work.
And I can also see everybody's problems. Like, I was reading the book about it, and someone was saying, like, he wanted to record 40 minutes sometimes of monologue stuff because he loved doing that part.
Right.
And they're like, okay, now we have 20 minutes of monologue stuff. We can't use all of that.
We need a minute and a half.
And so it's interesting, because I always thought that the behind the scenes stuff would be also fun, but it seemed like he had more fun doing the actual character.
Probably because he was so fucking serious.
Yeah.
He was. I mean, when I wrote with him, he was really fucking serious.
Yeah. Oh, that part in the movie where Judd goes with him to the Grammys or something in New York or something.
Yeah.
It just was. And Judd said he rewrote every joke, which I'm not so sure, but he could. I'm not sure. I'm saying Gary Shandling rewrote every one of Judd's jokes, he said.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
He rewrote what I wrote.
Yeah. Well, I used to submit material to Judd, and he would. It was really good exercise for me, because for Roseanne, I don't think any of it got used, but it was a good exercise. I mean, it worked. It was good to work that way.
Yeah.
Still going off the high.
So that's
Super
good.
Bowl
it's a good
high.
It feels good.
Let me see if my phone's. My phone has stopped blowing up.
I was very happy to see you. As was the gang.
Where'd you go?
I went to Al Higgins' house.
I haven't seen him in so many years.
He loves you. Toby Huss was there. He loves you.
It's so funny because I haven't seen these people in so many years. Who?
Madison, of course.
Oh, cool. It was like, why don't you pick up a phone? If you picked up the phone and called people, you also could see them. Isn't Gruber coming?
I should have asked you, is what I should have done. I forgot as I was going there that you and...
Yeah, I was in town?
You were alone.
Is Gruber coming soon?
In a couple weeks.
What'd you think of the game?
I thought it was...
Who were you rooting for? I was rooting for Kansas City.
I was rooting for Kansas City, so yeah, it was fun. I wasn't paying, I was mostly engaged in
party stuff?
Joke to joke, watching everything, but...
Or do people not watch? They watch it, but then
everyone watches, but everyone's commenting.
Where's Al live? Far from here?
Yeah, I don't need to point out where Al lives.
I want to know exactly. No, my goal now is to
over
deflect.
The hill.
It's deflect into other people's lives.
Yeah.
I almost got mad at Dana Schwartz again today, but he was right.
Oh, okay.
Because he's always like, technically, right? Technically, and he's going, it's 1:44, and for 1 second I was like, oh, he's right, because the show usually comes out tomorrow.
Right.
But either way, it would have worked.
I can't go into the details of any of this, but I had a situation where I got unbelievably angry this past week.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, no, it was so great, like yelling screaming "what the fuck" on the phone to people and stuff.
Wow,
it was so great. It was so.
And was anybody?
Because I was in the right, and I was and everyone, even the people I was talking to, they were trying to talk me into something. So it was like I had like full rights to do it, and it just felt so fucking good.
Did you get it resolved?
I got it resolved. I found, as I was screaming, I kind of figured out a way to make it work so that it would.
How loud was your voice?
It was like preschool Shark Tank loud, except not in the high register.
Do you know why it got you so upset?
Yeah, and if you would understand too, if I could give you the details.
Did someone die because of their lack of?
Yes, people die. No, I don't want to go into anything.
No, that's cool. But that's because that's what happens. When I hear people now, every person who's ever gone to the hospital has had problems, has had some. The system falls down at some point because of communication.
Yeah,
it's almost you have to be on it. I tell people that they don't ask, but you can't assume everything's going to work out.
We had a thing with my mother-in-law this week, which was a cancer scare that is not cancer.
Yay!
But she has fucked up lungs, and
hey, that's not nice
because she had tuberculosis as a kid in Ireland, but she hadn't told the doctors that she had tuberculosis as a kid. Like, it wasn't in her record. So we finally saw a pulmonologist, and he was like, "No, what you have is this result of this thing that's a result of the TB," and so we actually got a better diagnosis out of this whole rigmarole.
That's good.
But it was because we went along with her, and I brought up, she had. Oh, really?
Sometimes it's hard for people themselves to advocate for themselves. I find it's hard too.
Well, my mother-in-law especially, she just is like wants to get through the questions that are being answered.
I started to feel weird like I was able to isolate myself with my problems.
Yeah.
So this problem of being frozen it's not that I'm not dealing with it.
Being frozen.
In general.
Yeah.
Just like I have to drag myself to the next task.
Well, you're waiting for some shoes to drop right now.
That's true.
That are pretty heavy shoes.
Yeah. That's the other thing about me is that I don't get myself... I don't look for a reason for something. I look for what am I doing wrong now?
Right. Why am I a bad person
Why am I a bad person now?
Yeah.
And I realized so much of my early life was really spent worrying if I hit someone in the car or worried about who I offended without any knowledge that you shouldn't do that.
No, it's just like you had a giant worry void in your head that always had to be filled, it sounds like.
And that's why it's instructive to see something like Gary, because the truth is that there are a lot of people who have mental problems who part of their mental problems are not being able to look at their mental problems,
right.
And he probably could have gotten help, maybe, who knows, but it just is what it was. And, like the thing with his brother, it sounds horrific that his brother died and that he didn't tell him he died. And,
right.
And you could see why he was very guarded in everything, like didn't want to get into these things. Or no one knew about it. I think only a couple people even knew he had a brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I think he did a tremendous job of channeling his neuroses into art, Yes.
And also, I remember, I didn't think I was as big. I was a huge fan of Larry Sanders. But now I feel like, boy, he was pretty great the whole time.
He was. I mean, his stand-up was like, because the character was shallow and...
Yes.
Superficial, it was always kind of joke to joke.
Right.
Because you never were really rooting for him, sort of,
Yeah.
But there'd be a great joke, and then a weird sex joke,
Yeah.
Or some cheap masturbation thing, But there'd always be great jokes in there,
Yeah.
But when he did his Showtime show, it was like, this is legitimately a new thing. This is legitimately meta television in a way that some people haven't hit that on the head before.
Makes me want to watch it because I haven't seen it.
It's worth watching.
What I watched in the movie was great. Where
there's some hilarious stuff in it. I mean, not everything is gold, but it's it's funny.
Yeah.
And then Larry Sanders was another sort of breakthrough in that. People 25 years later, people are still pitching. It's Larry Sanders. And blank. They still are.
Yes.
I had to yell at somebody to go for a pitch not long ago about you're pitching to people who've never seen Larry Sanders now.
Yeah. Was it inside show business too, or he used it as an example?
They use it. Yeah, they use it as part of the pitch.
Yeah. Well, I used to use it as part of the pitch when Larry Sanders was still on the air.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying.
And even HBO didn't like it.
People have been using that pitch
right
for the whole time.
But they used to tell me, HBO used to go, nobody watches the show. They were always down on the show.
Right. Well, it's so inside.
It's so inside, but it brought David Chase to HBO. That's my ultimate argument. There's never a reason not to keep a good show on the air because it's going to bring you cred. People will like you. It's like you're putting out good stuff.
Right.
So, but the thing that's also interesting is that it's also very interesting to me because I'm not dying right now. I'm not dying or near dying, but to look at the perspective of what my life has been like, to see where he started.
Yeah.
And I knew he had started before me, but he really started to consider it maybe a 10-year difference.
Right.
And it's also weird that I always
he was writing for Sanford and Son. He was,
and he got he even says there was that time period where people with talent could get into the system because there was such a lack of,
I felt that way when I moved out here.
Right.
I felt like it was a meritocracy when I got here, kind of,
Right. But I know what you mean. But the idea of the business continuing on the way that was, it just couldn't. With people getting these big deals and...
Well, they're still big deals.
They're still big deals, yeah.
They just aren't for us.
Well, no, I mean, I still have to remind myself that my whole life that, you do have a talent that a lot of people don't have. Because for some reason, you don't remember that when I came out.
Well, I mean, I was telling you this last week, which I don't know if you remember, when we were talking about how you aren't necessarily dumber than your father.
Oh no, I talked about that in therapy.
Okay, did that get in?
Oh, I talked about it in therapy. Yeah, it was.
But I mean, I wanted to even embellish that and go. Not only have you succeeded as in putting this shit together for 35 years or whatever, but I have seen you make some of the very funniest people in the world laugh.
Oh, that's incredible.
I mean, if you think of the people who just love Andy Kindler, it's an impressive fucking list. You make the funniest people in the world laugh. That's pretty fucking cool. That's more than I can say, really.
No, that's not true. But you are.
I mean, when I write for you, it works. But
no, but in conversation, you may always make people. You made me laugh.
No, whatever. I wasn't trying to make it about me.
Don't change it back.
I wasn't trying to make it about me.
Right.
But I mean, I really wanted to make that point. Is that not only have you made it and done it for this long, but the regard that you're held in by some of the very funniest fucking people in the world is high, and that's worth something. It
really is, and I really appreciate you saying that. And the other thing I want to say is that I think this was maybe in the Shandling thing, or somebody else I was watching about Hindu. Anyway, the point was, it's all about the work as opposed to whatever you want your work to be. Yeah. And the minute you start to judge even at my age, I'm still can get into this. What might have been and what could I have done? Right. And this lesson is so much in front of everybody's face and is such a true lesson that it is not about what happens when you do it. It's about doing it. And sometimes you can get so frustrated you don't want to do anything, which sometimes happens to me too. But what I realized when you said that was I get into this voice of you fucked up. You didn't do it right. Look at Judd. Judd could buy and sell you $40,000. As if I know Judd's happy. You know what I mean? It's like, it's such a twisted way of let's say me and Judd and you die, right? Do you think in the afterlife his credits are going to bring him back to life?
Well, and you don't think Judd's still trying to impress Gary?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because they had to walk on eggshells too.
Yeah. So, so I just wanted to say that to you because
that means a lot.
Because it's worth pointing out.
I thought about it the next day. I went to therapy and talked about it.
Yeah.
And I brought up the exact conversation we had because there's something very clarifying. When I get so upset and jealous, it really does go back to a fundamental thing that has nothing to do with the thing I'm upset about. Almost never, except Trump. But even with Trump, like in therapy, I deal with like, what do you do when you can't do something about something? You can't drive yourself crazy. You're by just thinking that you can only be happy when he's gone, which is partially true.
It's partially true, but there's people out there who aren't letting it affect their lives at all.
I know.
Who are just living their life and they don't give a shit who's president.
Right.
And that's fucked up too. But there's a middle ground.
There's a middle ground.
There's a wide middle ground that you can live in.
Yeah, because I'm trying to avoid. On Twitter, I think this is going to be way worse than 2016 in terms of.
Oh God.
So what's going to? It's like everyone hates each other's guts.
I know. That's why I'll make Trump joke. I'm not endorsing people, and it's because I don't want to fight with Democrats.
I know. I don't want to fight with Democrats.
I don't want to put that bait out there to have fights with Democrats.
You can't say, "Oh, that Buttigieg." No, you can't say that because another socialist is going to come along.
Well, and I do. I'm not really passionate about anybody. And I don't. Even with Bernie, it's like fucking. It's not going to happen. Do
you think he's not going to get the nomination?
No, I don't. He could be president, but but going to Medicare for all,
right? I know that's
is not going to happen. Look what Obamacare took to get to. So I believe it's a good start. As I've said before with Warren too. It's a perfectly legit starting point in the negotiation, but it's not going to happen.
Right, and,
which is like an Amy Klobuchar sort of position.
But it's also it's real. It's real politic in the real sense of real politic. Because the thing that Hillary Clinton said about Bernie, and she probably I don't know why she's doing Hulu interviews, but the thing about that nobody likes him or he worked with, there is truth to that because his whole thing was you're all corrupt. You want to go with my revolution? Then you'll be a good person. That's how he kind of started it out.
Right.
And so it's no wonder that people would
right. It's what I was talking about last week, these scold-based
yeah, that's right.
politics.
Right. The thing that you're saying that is true though is I literally cannot get excited about anybody right now.
No, and I'm pledged from my soul to vote for whoever is the Democratic nominee. So I don't really have a horse in this fight as long as there's a horse.
And the other problem is that I like about 4 or 5 times a week I go, I prefer Biden to these people.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Only because I want to. Whenever I take those online, who's your real candidate based on these questions, I always end up more on the more moderate side of the thing than I even really want to be. Sometimes,
right.
I end up being a Buttigieg guy a lot on those things. But that's, I don't, it's hard to be staunchly moderate, it's just, so.
But it also is, to me, it's ridiculous. The whole ageism thing and the whole okay, boomers, as if the fact that you have a different philosophy about money means you're more hip or you're more right.
Right.
I hate to say it, but not every socialist country's worked out.
Right.
Not every country's worked out. There's a chance of all of our countries going to fascism.
Yeah, they have GoFundMe's in England too.
Yeah,
they do.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they're all celebrating. I can't imagine when I saw them all celebrating. Whoever was celebrating, it's like the European Union. You are the European Union. I don't get it.
Right.
You were like the biggest. Were they the biggest player or one of the biggest players?
I don't think they're bigger than Germany. But.
Right, sure. But where are you going? This is the people you want to do business with.
Right.
Why don't you just do business? I don't understand it exactly, right. But I understand how it got whipped up. Our country's being changed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's that kind of that's 1,000-year-old nationalism as opposed to our piddly little bicentennial bullshit.
That's the other thing that's crazy. Is like, what? Get off our high horse already. We're not Rome.
Well, we're kind of Rome right now.
Yeah, I know.
We're kind of Rome.
One person said that democracy will last in the United States.
Trumpligula.
Trumpigula. But someone said that democracy will last in the United States because there's nothing to march on. You can't march on Rome. You can't march on the old city. But
right. Do you have any stand-up sets from research?
What I thought was, what I'll do is I'll find a stand-up set that we didn't use, or I could find another song.
Do you have another song?
No, I think so, somewhere, but not tonight.
Well, let's not do that. Let's not put that on you for this week.
Because you know how I am.
I know
it's just stupid.
And you've got crazy shit going on this week.
Oh, God. Okay.
So here's a chunk from my album, which I haven't played yet.
I can't believe it. Weren't you on a year-end list?
Why, yes, Andy, I was.
I would like to hear it again.
But I won't play that track. I'll play something else.
Okay. Yeah, something new from Chunks. An alternative chunk.
Yes.
What's wrong with me?
I don't know.
I think I'm excited about the break.
Your energy's been fantastic till now.
No, the break. I'm excited about the break.
All right.
We'll be back. Why do I have to say something else? You already said
after
it was...
this word from my mouth.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm trying to get in shape a little bit. I hit 10,000 steps as I got here tonight. Thank you very much. And, no, I'm pretty good. It's it's only April. So. I don't wear a Fitbit. I think that's pretty obvious. My wife wears one. She doesn't wear it to counter steps, though, or anything like that. She wears it to monitor her sleep for some reason. Don't get it, don't understand it, but first thing in the morning, she goes right to her computer. Oh, I only got 2 hours of deep sleep. Oh, I only got 3 hours of deep sleep last night. Because they say you should start every day with an involuntary failure, right? Oh, my feet are still the same size today. I don't get why she cares, but one good thing has come out of this little data mining experiment, and that is she's found that on nights after we've had sex, she gets like 2 extra hours of deep sleep. And yes, it's after. We've been married a long time, so it wasn't hard for her to pick out the data points, quite honestly. It's like New Year's Day, February 15th, morning after your birthday. I slept like a log. Her big mistake really was telling me, now that there's something in it for her. It's a whole different power balance. Now I'm like, call me the Sandman. We're off to Never, Never Land. We've been married, it'll be 20 years in July. No, please. Save your positive energy for your own relationships. We're fine. Doing fine. I still like her. That's nice. It's nice. Not a given after 20 years. I had a friend who actually went, man, my wife and I fight all the time. What's the secret? I'm like, come here. You have a shitty marriage. Everybody's talking about it. I'm not like a big marriage booster, though. You see so many people who aren't having fun doing it. Marriage isn't the be-all and end-all. And I think people tend to over-romanticize it, for lack of a better word. I saw a news story the other day where the newscasters were just so gooey about this fact that a 95-year-old woman and a 96-year-old man just got married. I give it 5 years tops. There's not good marriage advice, really. There's, the only one that's like universal marriage advice is don't go to bed angry. Go to bed angry. Just don't go to bed angry at the same time. Let your wife go to bed angry first. You stay up and watch some TV angry for a while. Silently slip into bed angry later. Yeah, you might wake up angry, but at least you'll be sober. It's weird because the only time I actually get consistently angry at my wife is when she's asleep. Yeah, because she grinds her teeth at night. Yeah, and it's not a light case of it either. It's like a squirrel figure skating on a chalkboard situation, kind of. That was a squirrel triple Lutz, by the way. All night, that sound. I keep expecting to wake up in this fine white powder that used to be your teeth. And I'm not grind shaming her. I'm not allowed to complain about it to her, just rooms full of strangers. Because I snore. Allegedly. No heart proof. Bruises to the ribs, circumstantial. But I figure it just must sound crazy in there when we're both going. Like a factory in there. I mean, it's not a factory because we're in America, but... Put 30 Chinese girls in there, it's uncanny.
That was a chunk and then some.
Why, thank you, sir.
I think that might be more of a hunk.
It might be a hunk. I'm a hunk doing a chunk.
Please don't come on to me not like that again. All right, that was ridiculous. Okay, whatever bit I was going to do is gone.
All right, that's better for everyone.
And we're back. You think so?
Probably.
But I mean, after editing out my garbage for 150 shows, you think maybe it would be better if I didn't launch? The most embarrassing one actually was last week, because I knew you didn't like to do pop culture things, but I couldn't figure out why the story was bombing. Yeah. About my review of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Right, because you just kept referring to jokes without telling what the jokes were. Yeah.
But then I kept thinking, this is the type of thing you want me to do, is new things like this, reporting back. But it went nowhere. And then I had to find out you were also right about that it was only 2 episodes.
Ha-ha!
Because the third episode, there is a third episode.
That one.
Tonight,
all right.
But 2-1 doesn't happen on 128 when you're looking at it.
What?
I didn't notice it was 2-1. I thought I could watch the third one.
Aha.
Aha.
I'm right. That's all. You had me at. You were right.
You had me at. I'm a horrible person. I apologize for everything I've done.
Shall we
I think let's delve in.
All right. A.D. Morgan says, seeing as how all the world has been donating to Australia since the fires, and I'm feeling like giving back, and I've been on fire coming up with stuff for other comics lately, if you name a needy comedian, I will donate a joke or small bit to them.
Wow. Well, you know,
Andy Kindler, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what he's referring to? He gave me a bit that I haven't done yet.
No.
And I am going to try it, but I haven't done a spot.
Right. What was the bit?
I can tell you what the bit was.
All right. I'll edit this part out while you're looking.
Okay. All right. Here's what he said. He wouldn't care if I read it, right?
Well, he gave it to you, right?
Yeah. He goes, I thought of a bit, and there's no harm if you don't like it. We will leave it here to die peacefully. The bit. You see these life hacks? Already you're shocked because he's not an old man at all. He's hip. He's talking about me. I'm onto the online trends and memes, but I've seen these things before. They start off as throwaway lines. They go viral, become T-shirts and coffee flavorings and businesses. Then they die out and everybody involved goes bankrupt. I can say this for life hacks, and I can help you here financially. Get in to do this. Get out immediately before the crash. I don't think, okay, I think it's too long, and I'm not reading it right.
You're not reading it well.
No.
I like that you're going to try it, though.
Oh, Life Gym. Okay, it's life hacks, and he wants me to come up with Life Gym. You go down to the gym with Andy Kindler's Life Gym. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. Right. That was a bad idea.
You'll Rumpelstiltskin it.
I'll Rumpelstiltskin it.
My life hack joke was a pro tip is just a life hack with a job.
Is a pro tip is someone who works in the business or something, right?
I guess. Sous vide says,
I love that. Did he get that from you?
I think so.
Oh,
yes.
cool.
Have you seen the Aaron Hernandez doc on Netflix? Seems like Andy's type of show.
Who?
Aaron Hernandez, the
I did kind of want to watch. I did want to watch that because I hated the other special that was done that tried to make Jose Bio look. I don't like that Jose guy, but I do want to watch it. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
He's the guy who got Casey Anthony off.
Oh, okay. Suvi goes on to say, how would Howard Cosell discuss the former Patriots tight end?
Tonight, a 2-hour special about Aaron Hernandez. Originally, he came from the Republic of Domingo, and eventually he ended up killing several people. Tonight I interview Aaron Hernandez. Aaron, why?
He's dead now.
He's dead. I know that.
Both, actually.
Howard and him. Well, all of these things, we have to go to a special place in heaven for these jokes.
Right. No, apparently they're coming from Australia.
I don't get that one. What?
A.D. Morgan.
Oh, A.D. Morgan. How do you remember where everybody is?
I care.
I did see Ted Bundy stuff, though, because someone won't ask a question like this again.
Yeah.
Aaron Hernandez reminded me, since Susan was out of town,
yeah,
I get to watch my true crime things, but what was going to...
Murders and binge eating.
But you know what stopped me at first?
What's that?
I'm all alone now.
It's going to be scary.
And I thought, if I watch about Ted Bundy, it's Ted Bundy. There's a whole thing on Amazon.
Right.
I said, well, this will get me scared, but it doesn't really, because he's so handsome. You know, you don't imagine
You
him
need to watch
in.
The Condo Killer.
I hate that whole thing where it's coming from inside the house. That's not the way they say it in the movie.
It's coming from your phone. It's an app. Greg Kelly says, after this show, you will have produced a gross of shows. Does that mean they'll be for sale at Costco? Will clueless boomers clog the aisles waiting for free samples of the show? A third joke?
Is that 12 times 12?
That's a gross, yeah.
Hey, how come I was so cool? I'm really good at old math. Like, if you gave me 6 figures pretty rapidly in a row, that weren't like, if you gave me a figure like 60 plus something, I could probably do it. Go ahead.
60 times 14.
No, not times.
What am I doing?
Plus.
I wasn't even listening. You can add things? That's what you're telling me?
840 was the answer to yours.
You're telling me you can add stuff?
Yeah, like 18 and 28 and 47 and 53.
Okay, what's that?
Okay, but do it with just regular two-digit numbers. But give me a little pause. Okay.
18, 27,
Yes.
45,
Yes.
92.
182.
I don't think you're right.
Someone Perush will know if I'm right. Would you have been impressed if I was right?
You might have been right. I don't know.
Well, it was 90, and then you said add 92 to it. So I went with 182.
All right.
And then you had something plus 37.
All right.
It's not an impressive thing. I think if I should say, would the thing I'm doing work at a freak show or in a circus?
Right.
And if the answer is no, let it go.
Well, if you're extremely fat and doing it, it would work in a freak show probably.
Because my brother, you know what he does all the time?
What?
He still does the thing where he takes a quarter, and for 3 hours, he'll show you how he can...
He'll do the sleight of hand
yeah.
for 3 hours?
Yeah, he won't stop.
Yeah.
And even though you know the
he's
quarter...
He's super rich.
He's got free time. He's got free time, but he's always working. You can't say he's not working.
I'm not saying that he's wasting his time. I'm saying there might be something very productive to what he's doing.
No, but not me, though. I waste a lot of time.
Oh, yeah. Well, he doesn't smoke pot all the time.
I know. I think this pot smoking is an issue. I didn't smoke today, though, before I came here. I smoked during the Super Bowl. Did you smoke during the Super Bowl?
That was before you came here.
No. I've decided a long time ago.
Not
it's
immediately
bullshit.
before you
it's
came
bullshit,
here.
this whole thing of I'm clean all day.
Okay, all right.
See how my anger...
I didn't smoke before I came in. Well, I smoked during the Super Bowl, is what you just told me.
but the Super Bowl, I guess, was pretty close to the event.
Yeah, all right.
I like that annoyance. All right, okay, fine. You're a liar. Can we stick with the fact that I'm a liar? Look, I'm a liar, but I wouldn't impeach myself.
Right, but it's just an unnecessary lie.
Right, but I wouldn't impeach myself.
It's like the Norm Macdonald lie. What do I possibly stand to gain from this lie?
Look, he shouldn't have made the call now, we all say, or the GOP. But 3 weeks ago, they were saying it was a witch hunt.
Right. It was wrong, but it wasn't. Let's not.
Let's not go there.
No.
Girlfriend.
Too depressed. Girlfriend. Sethik the Third says, normally I don't work on Sundays, but for you... Oh, jeez. We're going to stop for a second. Do you need to take that?
No, I'll take it after.
Oh, gosh. We're going to stop now. And we're back from Andy's catastrophic coffee spill.
I have spilled more coffee in my life than people have coffee, and it's always a bad thing. And this went all over your glass table, and then there's a table underneath it, and then it went onto the seat. And then as I was at the end of it, I knocked the rest of the cup over.
Yes, you did. It was a double. It was classic vaudevillian slapstick.
We're okay now, though.
Everything's fine, people.
Even our backup emergency recording.
It looks like a razor.
What's that?
It looks like a razor.
I think that's the reason why I haven't had a friend this close in my life, because it builds up. You know what I'm saying? The first 9 times I go, it looks like a little razor. And in my head, I think, when I'm around other people, I go, God, I am so fascinating, and these other people are so boring. And then it looks like a little razor. You said that last week. Yeah. But it's worth pointing out again. If I was like an Einstein, I would have come up with something by now. Thought experiment.
All right, we're back with Sethik the Third, who, this was the sentence I was reading when everything went to shit. Normally I don't work on Sundays, but for you guys, anything. So anyway, I ordered a pizza for the Super Bowl, and I swear the guy was a dead ringer for James Mason. I was grateful he could...
Got me again. I can't stand it. Do they get me every time?
I was grateful he could break my $100 bill for my $21 order. Thank you for ordering from Papa John's.
Thanks for identifying the pizza place. That really is going to help.
It's a big day for me, so I do have change for 100. Yes, very busy day.
Why is it a big day? Oh, the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, my friend.
How'd you get a job?
You Americans love this holiday.
But you're one of the greatest actors of all time.
Yes.
And so why are you now working in a pizza? And you're dead.
Because it's Super Bowl Sunday. There's money to be made, my friend.
It just seems
you can't leave money on the table.
But wouldn't he be doing something more exotic, James Mason?
What's more exotic than visiting people at their homes? Hi, I'm James Mason. Here's your pizza.
You know what?
That's pretty exotic.
It's not bad. Hey, I've never had more fun than since I spilled the coffee. Yeah, and you keep making noises on the table.
And it never works out like in the porn films.
I don't think James Mason would go blue.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Have you not seen the movie where I fuck a 14-year-old?
Take that out. Take it out now. Give it to me. Not the 14-year-old part.
Lolita.
Oh, Lolita, that's right. I thought it was your dirty, horrible mind.
I thought I needed give you a little clue what I was going for.
J.D. Salinger, whose name was Jerry.
Really?
He liked younger women.
Yeah.
In fact, he said once...
Those were the only letters he answered.
It's true. In fact, at one point he said, she's a little old for me. She can talk. Wing. Where were we that everyone was loving the... except when we did the other podcast.
Oh, on Jordan Jesse, yeah. Jordan liked the baby, Jesse not so much.
First of all, I can't imagine that everyone doesn't love it, because it's not like you're doing Donald Duck. You're doing a thing that belongs to you.
Right.
Did you get it from anybody else?
I saw a clown on I Love Lucy.
That doesn't count.
Do it as a kid. And I tried it. And I could make that sound. I could tell how he was making the sound.
You couldn't teach me though, right?
Oh, now I want to teach you.
First of all, why do I want it? We have one genius already.
That's right. People hate it.
I should go into one of these like you bang against your. That's good. See, those things are impressive to me, but for some reason, Donald Duck immediately gets on my nerves.
Never good, yeah. Stand by your man says covered a shift but didn't have the car. Boss had one of the delivery guys drive me. Way home took me 2 hours since he had to make deliveries. It was like 2 hours of someone reading Fox News comments aloud. When was the last time you dealt with these people in real life?
The only thing similar, I don't know if it's similar, but one time after a show, I wanted to get high, and the other comic wanted to get high, and we went to a farm, basically, and stayed with these people for 4 hours. And it was terrible. Couldn't get away.
Wow. Just because they had weed?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, see.
And they liked his act.
Those errands stopped for me a long time ago.
Where you would hang out with people?
Although I did when I was at the Macon Film Festival. Someone I met there took me to someone's apartment.
Did they?
Yeah, and that felt like the old days. That really felt like...
Were you depressed or it was fun?
No, it was kind of fun just because it was like... I was just like in yes and mode. You know? I'm in Georgia at a film festival. Someone wants to take me to someone's house to get high. What the fuck?
Right. And that's what I thought on the way to this thing. I mean, this is a story that later you're going to say was great. But it's not.
It's not. It was a 4-hour
It was a
bummer.
4-hour... because the headliner, who was not funny... I don't know why I'm still burping, but the headliner was not funny, and now he's over at the other, and they're all like connecting about something.
Yeah.
At the other house with the pot, and also the pot wasn't that good.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a drink instead. Stay at the hotel. Have a drink.
Works for me. I wish that worked for me because I've seen you have a nice beverage late night, and it's like I know that just doesn't ever feel fun for me. Is the problem? I would do it in a minute.
Yeah.
If it helped.
Well,
I can't sleep on alcohol that well.
Yeah. I think it might be one of those some is good, more is better things with you, though.
Yeah. Can I be... when I told you I saw, and I'm not name dropping, but I am, my friend Maynard Keenan, who's was in Tool, and I was in when I went over to a wine place and met him, I felt really high that night from the wine because I was eating the right amount all night.
Right.
And so then I could feel it.
Wine's a good buzz.
Yeah, it is. But I still get exhausted.
Yeah, I don't drink. I just don't drink very much.
Yeah.
Period. I don't drink very frequently. But
we don't know a lot.
But I
of
like
drinking.
the good stuff when I do.
But that's true. But do you think I'd ever develop a taste for like Scotch if it seems terrible? I guess you could.
I could probably find you a Scotch.
So you're adding on to what I have?
I'm not saying it's a good idea, but if you put the challenge in front of me, I bet I could find you a Scotch you'd drink happily.
Have you ever been drunk?
It would be a Highland.
Ooh.
Not too spicy.
Have you ever... Oh, by the way, I went over to this place, which is a very highly rated ramen place. And I had that, and I was sick from that. I think it's an age thing.
No, there's a lot of grease in those ramens.
Even the best ramen has so much grease.
Yeah.
Like one time I left it in the refrigerator. Yeah. And then the next day, it's like, see.
Yeah.
It's all.
Yeah, there's a ton of grease in those ramen balls. I'm always disappointed by how much, like, just ramen, even the best ramen places are.
How do you mean? About how expensive they are?
No, just like how much, like, the kind of ramen you get for 35 cents. Like how much their noodles taste like that.
But it's something where I got addicted to it when I used to live on the West Side. And I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Lucky he was concerned about you now.
But after like 2 weeks, I was sick I couldn't take one more bowl of it. I'm still looking for that great bowl of chicken noodle soup or something that's sold that I don't have to make.
Arts
is good. Okay, solved again.
They deliver.
They do?
Well, DoorDash.
Do you like their matzo ball soup?
They do make a good matzo ball soup.
Every sandwich.
When Allison and I were sick a couple weeks ago, I ordered. And you can order like a quart of broth and all the fixings come separately.
I didn't know that.
They put the chicken and thing and the...
I will never order from Jerry's again.
Well, this is all very interesting. Let's move on.
No, let's go further with it. Have you ever had a stock that you didn't like?
Chris Olson says, hey, gentlemen, Mr. K, more than one congratulations for your appearance on the Super Bowl that I haven't watched yet. I loved when you rattled and rolled your booty with Zuzu. Nice.
This Zuzu, I think this is a joke. There's no name of someone named Zuzu in that movie.
Oh, don't stop.
It's not from Africa. Who could Zuzu be? I'm done.
Right.
See? That's progress.
That was good. I think I might have perfected the look.
Why am I less defensive in general?
Because I've worn you down.
No, because you've made my life worthwhile. My life would not be worthwhile. No, I'm being honest with you. And the sex is just a bonus.
I'm leaving the pause in, by the way.
Good. By the way, Lucky looks a little wired from drinking my coffee.
She might be from your puddle. Stand By Your Man is back to say, apparently Jen Kirkman has me blocked, and I don't know why. Andy, can you use your newfound Super Bowl commercial celebrity clout and ask her to unblock me?
Sure.
Jen, if you're on the show, can you please unblock me? Josh, I'll leave you out of it.
All right, what's his address? We're not allowed to do that?
You know what? I don't know why Jen blocked him.
Why am I getting involved?
Exactly.
No, but she's quick on the block.
She used to have me blocked. Before she knew, before the show.
Did you tell her, though?
Huh?
Did you tell her?
I never told her. She just unblocked me once she started listening to our show.
Oh, but do you know why she blocked you?
I don't. Yeah. It was like that for like a year, though.
Where?
And I know it was something that she just read wrong or something.
Right, because she gets very upset because sometimes she's attacked.
Because I would never say anything that would make her actually mad, you know. But yeah, no, Jen had me blocked for some time.
Because you're classy.
So yeah, Stand By Your Man. I'm sorry. I mean, she'll hear this.
Well, that's right.
STANNED by your man.
I'm always interested. What I'd like to see, and maybe Jen will do this for us. I would like to see the tweets of all the people that she's blocked. Just I want to see them, so I can then decide. Because some people go, all I said to her was, "It's nice today, right?" But then you find out.
That's why I'm not gonna. That's why I want agent for Stand. If you can't present yourself to people in a way that keeps, I never complained to Jen that I was blocked.
Yeah, well, you are absolutely, between the two of us, probably the better person.
No. There. Was that good enough?
It was good.
All right.
Oh, get back to the mic.
Jim Meehan says, I've enjoyed both your guests, but I'm slightly disappointed you didn't take the opportunity to have them judge a dance-off between the two of you.
I think that's not an idea we'll take.
Probably not so much.
But still, it would have been good. I don't want to make her uncomfortable. That's the last thing she wants to do.
Yeah.
See us grinding or something.
Also, it's audio.
Oh, yeah.
All it would be us dancing for a guest.
Well, I made that mistake today because, Pete Dominic, he's a really funny guy and he's a political guy. Uh-huh. And so he wanted my quote about the impeachment. So he said, call me on FaceTime. So I call him on FaceTime thinking it's video, but then he doesn't want it to be video, and I don't want it to be video. But I took FaceTime literally.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
Michelle Wisecarver.
Michelle Wisecarver, you'll never know how much you've raised my self-esteem and made me love myself some more, and maybe too much, 'cause I'm doing the Adam Sandler voice.
Michelle says, you guys asked what I do for work. Dad started an auto body shop in 1975. He's 73, does all the painting. My brother, nephew, and I all work there. I crawl around wrecked cars and write the repair estimates. 3 generations working in a family business equals very cool.
I think that's the greatest.
It is.
And that's where the sitcom is going to be. I'm a wacky neighbor next to Michelle Wisecarver's garage. And I come over much like, who's the guy from Bob Newhart who always, ooh.
Howard.
Yeah, I could be the Howard. Ooh, Michelle, I see. Ooh, I didn't bring my own car, but would you be willing to?
Jews here.
Oh, is that what they're saying? I thought they were saying there's Jews here. I wish I had been a victim of anti-Semitism so I could be more upset about it.
Dana Schwartz says 2 questions. 1, could they have found a smaller desk? I assume that's referring to your commercial.
Oh, right.
And 2, did Jen Kirkman ask about me?
I think she did. I'm liking it up. How am I going to remember that? What did she ask about?
She did not, Dana. I'm sorry.
Dana needs to look at his own relationship with social media. Although he was right about the show. It wasn't 140.
The number of the show? Yes. But we love you, Dana.
We do love
Dana
him.
is, I believe, our biggest monthly supporter.
Is it like $5,000 a month?
Right around there.
Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say someone was rich and wanted to give $20,000 a month. Is that possible?
You're doing psych gags with that. You're doing psych gags that aren't working out.
My stomach actually hurts, and you know why it hurts?
Why?
Because I spilled the coffee, and I'm embarrassed. And you don't care as much as I do.
I thought I let you off the hook pretty good.
You were great with it. It's not easy being me with the tummy aches.
Mo's Art says, but Andy, don't you see? This is in response to you going, if we answer your question, you get nothing in your request. Mo's Art says, but Andy, don't you see? If you answer our question, we not only get the warm feeling of camaraderie we get every week listening to the show, not to mention laughs, but the thrill of being in show business-ish. Plus, Zuzu tells me with each tweet read, an angel gets its wings.
There's that phony name again, right?
Right.
That's true. I like that. I like that email. Is that an email? No, it's text. No, it's a thing.
It's a tweet. Mark Thompson says, are there any types of foods from your hometowns, New York and Twin Cities, that you haven't been able to find in L.A. and miss?
I mean, the classics are bagels.
Bagels and pizza.
And the pizza's gotten better here.
Yeah. So have the bagels, really.
Where?
I don't know. I just got to believe.
I'm trying to think of what else. I don't think I think the deli situation is better on the East Coast, but even the deli situation on the East Coast is not the way it used to be.
No, it's the same situation as here, really, where only some are surviving. The ones that own their buildings are surviving.
Makes sense.
But L.A. is actually a pretty good deli town. It's just that it's such a big town.
Yeah, and we know the ones that we love.
Yeah, but there are some. I mean, I can name 3 that I really like, and then another 2 that, if they were closer, I would go to. I'm
trying to think of something exclusively New York. I don't know. I used to think the Chinese food was better, but then after I spoke to Lewis, I realized it's not.
Well, I mean, here you have to go inland.
Yeah.
To like Monterey Park or some of those places. But there's apparently some of the best.
And New York,
the best
he says,
of the continent is here.
Yeah, he says New York is not the greatest.
Vancouver. Here in Vancouver are the 2.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Minneapolis, I mean, there really isn't. I mean, there's restaurants I like, but there isn't any local food that is better there than here.
Yeah, I think not that we've covered it, but I can see that.
Dan Wade says, "Hey guys, can I get he hate me's autograph?"
I don't understand what's that from.
It's an XFL player. There was in the original XFL, there was a player who put on as his name, "He hate me."
Oh, is that why people were doing that to me? How did they remember this?
Because that was about the only thing that people remember from the original XFL.
What does it mean? Is it indoor or
Extreme Football League, I believe.
Is it? But we don't know if it's different rules.
It is different.
It's not arena football, though, right?
It's on par with arena football in terms of its prestige.
Well, they just told me today. I got a note saying through the roof.
You're the face of XFL. Larry Harold says, "Dear Super Bowl hotshot Andy, what's the worst doctor you've ever been to? If you were actually a doctor, what kind of doctor would you be?"
I always wanted to be. I think I wanted to be a GP. I wanted to be like a good diagnostic GP,
an
like
internist.
Internist, right? And the worst doctors, all the doctors that my parents sent us to when we were kids, were pretty bad.
Yeah,
the dentist was terrible. The pediatrician made us wait hours.
The only really bad doctor I feel like I've been to was the one who told me that my kidney cancer was almost for certain nothing, and you should come back in 6 months. Luckily, I had a feeling.
If you had listened to him, you could have been in trouble, right?
I would have been in more trouble, yeah. Yeah, because I didn't have symptoms, so there wouldn't have been anything that made me go, I should really go get this checked out now.
That's why I could not, as you know, I could not. I'd be the worst doctor in the world.
But that was part of that was just me discussing it with my good doctor, too.
Right. Who didn't mail things. Was it that he mailed things, or he mailed it to you? Handwritten.
He wrote me a handwritten note. It's current. I looked at your thing, and it's probably nothing. Come back in 4 months.
You never went back to him in 4 months, right?
I didn't tell him what happened either.
You should have had Allison call after 5 months.
Stink Boot wants to know.
I can't take these names sometimes. I don't want to be known as Stink Boot.
I think this is supposed to be read because he wrote Test Show 144. I think it's supposed to be a drunken Test Show 144. Where are my keys? That's what he wants to know.
That's my drunk guy.
Bilal Zafar wants to know the best live music you've ever seen.
You have more. That's the Talking Heads, right? Or
the best of the last 20 years, I would say, is not
David
quite 20
Byrne.
years. It was David Byrne at the show that's now on Broadway.
I haven't been to enough concerts to be able to make a determination.
I've been to a few great ones. There's been a couple of Elvis Costello shows that were remarkably good. The concert for George at Royal Albert Hall was pretty remarkable.
I more enjoy who I see live when I see them, so it's hard to compare it to. I haven't had anything like where I saw the Rolling. I saw Elton John play the Troubadour.
Right. And if you did, you'd lie about it. So.
Yeah, I used to. I was 14 at the time.
Dallas Gus / Swalklane XW. Don't understand it, but we're moving on. Why is blackface, brownface, or any LGBTQ plus prejudice absolute horror and not okay, but redface and racistly singing like a white stereotype version of a Native American still okay?
It's not okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay either.
I've been against the tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the naming him the Chiefs is bad, right? Because Chief is, except that you're taking their culture.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fucked up still, but at least their logo isn't personified.
Yeah. I mean, the only time it would be appropriate is in the F Troop song.
Sure. Or Go Go Gophers.
How's that one go?
Go, go, Gophers, watch them go, 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 Gophers. That's one of the worst, I would say, Indian stereotype.
Is this from your childhood? Or?
It's part of the Underdog family of cartoons.
Not good.
It was like F Troop with really bad.
Well, there was a time period where people would just run around for years and go, whoa, 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 and think it was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think our history books initially recorded us murdering the Indians as well as they should have. Don't you think that's true?
I think that's true. Yeah. I would say that some of them probably still don't.
Still are bad. The Indians were very rude, so we asked them to leave nicely, and they wouldn't.
Derek Faraci says, how hard was it not to talk about Andy being in a Super Bowl ad? That was pretty cool to see. It was not hard at all because Andy didn't know he was going to be in a Super Bowl ad.
No, I thought it was going to be after the Super Bowl on a web.
Yeah.
There were so many. Did you watch? I mean, nothing really stood out to me. Was there anything great?
No, I thought the ads were mostly shitty, and there were so many
celebrities.
There were so many celebrities and so many references to a weird, if your target is 18 to 35-year-olds, it's everything was targeted to my age, which is 48.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's just you weren't hitting boomers or the target,
And also this thing, maybe it's because I'll never drink it, but Bud Light seltzer.
Yeah.
It sounds terrible to me. Bud Light beer is terrible to me.
And it's not beer, though.
Okay, so what is the deal? It's hard seltzer, right?
Yeah, they're trying to make a not so carby drink, I think is what they're trying to do.
Oh.
I think beer sales are hurting overall.
I never thought about that. I'm sure they are, right?
Yeah. I'll take one last check here. A lot of people who didn't actually tag us, but I see lots of praise for Andy's ad here.
Yay!
People saying, "What the fuck, dude? Could have given Thoughts Barrel Peeps a sneak peek." Thoughts Tommy Barcanero says, "Fans everywhere just dropped their nachos in delightful surprise." Andy in a Super Bowl commercial. Annotated MST says, "If you two could each own a team in the XFL, what would you name them? What would be your mascot? What song would you play in the locker room to get the team revved up?"
Okay, well, I'm just going to go off the top of my head. The New York Jews, and we would play Hava Nagila. or Fiddler on the Roof, and we would dance the hora to get psyched.
All right. Mine would be the Chief Wahoo Braves. And I would play Cherokee Nation.
Right.
By white people. Paul Revere and the Raiders in the locker room.
Who were they? Would they go Cherokee people? Is that Paul Revere and the Raiders?
Paul Revere and the Raiders.
And then he says they were so proud to die?
So proud to live. So proud to die. And let's see. Our mascot would be a giant-headed Native American.
And I would have an old Jewish man with a big head.
With a scalp in one hand.
Yes.
This is the old Jew. I mean,
that's not even the... Man.
No, I don't. I think that's what I do. I defend the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
Because that's my way.
Look, if you can't take it, they're just jokes, like Ricky Gervais says.
Exactly. I believe that is our lot in life for this week.
Well, this was a very good session. I feel again. I apologize about the coffee.
That's okay. We'll bring in those cleanup teams like it never happened. One of those
before the wife gets back.
That's right. If you want to support the show with some financial help, go to buymeacoffee.com/thoughtspiral. And you can give us a one-time cup of coffee. You can give us a monthly cup of coffee. You can give us multiples of either.
Yeah.
Lucky you, huh? Huh?
And thanks for explaining the different ways.
And if you like the free podcast paradigm, which I completely understand.
Hey, do what you want.
Go to Apple and give us a nice rating on their podcast with 5 stars and some nice words.
Yeah, I mean, don't something on it. I'm going to be in Vancouver in a couple of weeks. Just for Laughs Northwest.
Beautiful.
And that's all I have right now.
I have no dates to plug.
But exciting things in the hopper.
But, so much happening. So much happening. Stay tuned to this page.
Watch this space.
That's what I was going for. All right. That's it.
See you next week. I'm not going to even try and do anything because you know why?
No, so you just
tried. That was an ending,
That was
right?
half-hearted. That was half-hearted.
Sometimes you could just say, you know what? I can't wait for next week.